Okay, so now that we have studied and mastered and practiced the first four major scales, C major, G major, one sharp, D major, which has two sharps, A major, which has three sharps, let's roll back and let's learn the structure of the chords. Now, many people who go to the piano know that if you start on, let's say, C, and you skip a note, and you go to E, you get something that sounds nice. Or even playing a major chord. Three notes, C, E, G. Sounds nice. Many people can go to the piano and they do. And maybe they'll go down to F and play a chord. Go to the G, F. So it's a lot of fun to be able to play a major chord. And even a minor chord, they know if you move up one, you get a nice sound. Some people might even continue to play Lean on Me. Okay, so we're going to explore a deeper understanding of these chords and where they come from and what's possible to create and how to understand the hierarchy of the chords within a major scale. Now, as I said before, that the scale is really the introduction to the universe of music. The scale is really not just notes. The scale represents the basic and structure of harmony. So, using that concept of building a three-note chord using skipping the note in between, let's build a chord on every note of a major scale. So, let's start with C since it's so easy to see. We've got all white notes. So if we start on C and we build our first chord, we skip the D and we play E. So we just touch D, skip a note F and go to G. Play all those three notes, which we did before, which many people who don't know how to play music, they will go to the piano and play that C major chord. All right? Fine. Let's build that same three-note chord on every note of C major. We just take that structure of our hand, whatever, I use 1, 2, and 4 in terms of fingering. You could use 1, 3, 5, which is alternate. A lot of classical pianists will do 1, 3, 5. I like 1, 2, 4. It leaves an extra pinky in case I want to add a 7. Okay? Or a sixth. Let's leave it, suffice it to say that whatever structure you have in your fingering, whatever claw or whatever, you don't want to move that around. Once you have it, keep it steady. It doesn't have to be stiff, but don't move it around. We're going to move that structure and migrate it up one step to D. That sounds different. That doesn't sound major. It's actually a minor chord. So the chord built on the second step of the scale, or the second scale degree, D, is minor. So we have a major chord, C, E, G is a major chord. Why? Because the note in the middle, the E, is a major third interval. Do, re, mi. The difference would be if we played E flat, we would have, and a 3-note chord on C with the E flat would be C, E flat, G. The 3rd note of the chord is the same for major or minor, so we could just change the middle note from C major, just switch that middle note a half step lower to E flat. So C major, C, E, G, C minor, C, E flat, G. C major, C, E, G, C minor is C, E flat, G. Played in succession or as a simultaneity. So, C major, not C minor. The structure of a major chord is, now we're going to use our half steps and whole steps. Thank God we remember those. We start on Do, and we're going to count 4 half steps between the first note of the chord and the second in a major chord. So Do is C, count half steps. C sharp is 1. Don't hold it down, just touch it. D, 2 half steps. D sharp, 3. Then 4 to E. So C to E is our first part of the major chord. C and E. Now we need another 3 half steps. We had 4 and 3. So the structure of a major chord would be 4 half steps, 3 half steps using a starting point of 0. So whatever note you're starting on and building a major chord on, start that choice of note. I want to build a major chord on F. Use F as your starting note. Add 4 half steps to A, and then add 3 more half steps to C. F, A, C is an F major chord. Wow, that's a Maserati or a Jaguar. You could take it for a ride. My F major chord. Fun. F major chord. Now, I want to go on a little side note for a second, is that each chord can be arpeggiated and it could be inverted. So, take this little aside and we're going to take back to our C major chord that we just built. C, E, G, C, up 4 half steps, to E, to G, 4 and 3, major chord. Now, the spelling of that chord is C, E, G. Now, if we take the lower note C and we lift it up and we play it an octave higher, we have C, E, G, C. What if we let go of that first C note and we just play E, G, C? Still a C major chord because it has those 3 notes in it. It's only that the bottom note C is now played on the top. So the melody note supposedly before was G. You know, from the halls of Montezuma. G was the top note. Now in the first inversion of a C major chord, we have E, G, C. C is now the top note and can be considered the melody. That's the first inversion of a major chord, a C major chord. Now, 3-note chord, we could do yet another inversion before we go back home to a C major root position chord. We could pull up the E, E, G, C, take the E off, and now we have G, C, E. That sounds like a baseball game or something. Sorry. Now, classical composers and theorists and teachers didn't like that chord position called the 6-4 position. It's called the 6-4 because there's the interval from G up to C is a 4th, 1, 2, 3, 4, and up to E is a 6th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it's a 6-4 chord because there's a 6th and a 4th above it. They didn't like that 6-4 chord because it was unstable. unstable because the sixth and the fourth in that context, if we just take that out of context and we just play, sort of wants to resolve to, it wants to be pulled down to the root. The F, the E and the C want to come down to a resting point. They're tense over here. Mi, fa, mi. Wants to come down. La wants to come down to sol. Fa wants to come down to mi. They didn't like that inversion of the 6/4, except if it was used leading into the harmony of a G chord. So they really wouldn't think of it as a inversion of C major. They would think of it as a G chord with a suspension on it. So, or the double suspension. So G, C, E, is that a C chord, or is it some sort of G chord that needs to be resolved? And that's always the question, how to identify what the G, C, E chord is. So I'm probably losing most of you on that one, but it's okay. We're going to come back to that. Keep that in the back of your minds, that the second inversion of a major chord, according to classical composers, is questionable. It's okay. It's something good to keep in mind. Now, for those people who really want to master, that second inversion has a different function. Okay? So that's okay. If you don't understand that, that's fine. We'll come back to that concept a little bit later in context. So, major chords have different inversions. Root position, C major, C, E, G. First inversion, E, G, C. Second inversion, G, C, E. If we invert the chord one more time and bring the G up to the octave, we have C, E, G, just an octave higher. And again, if you want to add creativity, whatever you want to create, you're certainly going to want to have movement harmonically to go places, so you don't want to just stay in C major. So we experienced before D minor. Maybe we want to create a little composition about those two harmonies. Back to C. So already with just a C chord and a D chord, arpeggiated, mind you, we've already created something that sounds nice. Now, we're going to build the next chord using our structure of our hands, C, D minor, E minor. We look at it, we see that G is 3 half steps from the beginning, counting 3 half steps from E to G instead of 4 half steps. It's not an E major chord, we're doing all white notes now. C, E, G white notes, D, F, A white notes, E, G, B white notes, okay, and then F, all white notes. Oh, that's a major chord. So now we know that when we build chords on the C major scale, we get certain harmonies affiliated with that step of the scale or scale degree. So we get major, minor, minor, major. Interesting. So this is a succession. Major, built on the first steps or the first scale degree, is a major chord. Just move the hand in that claw, D, F, A, all white notes, 1, 3, 5, 2, 4, 6, 3, 5, 7, minor. So it's major, minor, minor, major. That's a pattern. So there's an arrival, right? We said there's an arrival on. Major, minor, minor, major. So we see that those minor chords are sort of transitionary. You have another composition. I just took those chords and I arpeggiated them. I played that in succession instead of as a simultaneity. C major to D minor, E minor, F major. Nice, now we go back. Lovely. Now what if we wanted to do that in inversion? So instead of playing it in C, E, G, we're going to play it E, G, C. It was worth waiting for, wasn't it? Love it. I like it myself. I love it. That first inversion really sounds wonderful. Don't forget that second inversion. It's like no man's land. Let's try that second inversion since we're nerds and we're trying to explore things that we shouldn't. And of course, like Beethoven, breaking the rules sometimes was the best thing. So let's try it on the second inversion starting on G. Let me see. I started with a... Not as nice as... I like that first inversion, has a nice sound. Now, let's look at the structure of that first inversion chord. E, G, C. Well, you have 3 half steps between E and G, but then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 half steps between G and C. So it's 3 and 5 for first inversion major scale. Major chord, that is. It won't be exact on the minor scales. It would be 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 and 5. So it's 3 and 5 or 4 and 5. Which I've never actually analyzed before, so that's why these are discovery possibilities in teaching. So, given all that, we go back to our structure of a major scale and complete the chords. So we have major, minor, minor, major, when we build those 3-note chords or triads on the notes of the scale. Now we'll go to G. Major, because it's got 4 and 3. And it sounds major, it sounds happy. G major chord, G, B, D. Good, let's play all those chords. C major, C, E, G, D minor, D, E, D, F, E, D, F, A, E minor, E, G, B, F major, F, A, C, G major, G, B, D. Major or minor, A, C, E, major or minor. Minor. Count it, 1, 2, 3 half steps. So the minor chord structure is 3 half steps, 4 half steps. Starting point of the chord is 0, 3 half steps to C, 4 half steps to E. We've already played it because you see the claw just moves up. You see it's A, C, E, but then you could justify it by counting 3 and 4, and now you know it's a minor chord. So let's start again from discussing what quality, if it's a major or minor quality, from C. Major, minor, minor, major, G major, another major in a row. major, minor, minor, major to F, major again. So it's major, minor, minor, major, major, minor. B is 3 half steps, and then 3 more half steps. That's not a major or a minor chord. What is it? It's a scary chord. It's called a diminished chord. Diminished chord structure is 3 half steps and another 3 half steps. So from B to D is a minor third interval, or 3 half steps. And then from D to F, counting 0, 1, 2, 3 half steps. So 3 and 3, 2 3s in a row. It's not a 3 and a 4. It's not a 4 and a 3. It's a 3 and a 3. It's a diminished chord. Add another 3 on top of that, you get a diminished 7th 4-note chord. We didn't really talk about 4-note chords yet, but since diminished a lot of times is understood as a diminished 7th, I figured I would mention a 4-note chord. So let's go back to all the chords of a major scale. We get major, minor, minor, major. The tetrachord has a major, 2 minors, and a major. Same sort of pattern is major, minor, sort of minor, major, major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, sort of minor, or diminished major, major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished major. So we're taking a look at the notes of a major scale, building a chord, a triad, a 3-note chord, on each note of that major scale. Okay, we could do that in inversions and just play the chord E, G, C, and go up the scale with the claw, just with the pinky open one more note, so that there's 2 white notes in between G and C. It's not really skipping, it's skipping and then double skip. E to G, skip A and B and play a C. That structure where you have an empty note on F and an empty note on A and B, that's your structure for playing a first inversion major chord on the piano, or minor as you go up the scale. And we're just going to use that claw, and we're going to play what we call the diatonic chord progression, the chord built on C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, but starting on the note E, because we're in first inversion C major chord. E, G, C, claw up to D minor chord, starting on an F note, because we're in first inversion D minor chord. E minor, first inversion. Well, these are all first inversions. Same claw, G, A, C, F, which is an F major chord in first inversion. G, A minor, B diminished, first inversion, all first inversion. That sounds nice. Let's do it again. C major, root chord, holding, skipping 1, skipping 1. Now let's do first inversion, starting on E, G, C. Start it slowly. Separate the notes and play it as an arpeggio. Go as slow as you need. E minor, that's the 3rd chord. F major, the 4 chord is major. So, the 1 chord is major. 2 chord is minor. 3 chord is minor. You hear how sad that is? E minor, F major, even if there's a 3rd in the bass. G major now, A minor, B diminished with the D in the bass, and we'll end with the C in the bass so we feel like we're arriving home. Very cool. So we get the chords built on every note of the scale, and that's where harmony comes from. What's interesting is that those chords are not necessarily played in that order once you understand the harmony. Once you know that the 4 chord, the chord built on the 4th step scale degree in C major is F, and that's major, we can skip from to F. And we don't have to play D minor and E minor. We just go from C to F. Now it turns out that it's easier motion for us to go from C major to a F major chord in second inversion, which is CFA. CEG, CFA, which is still an F major chord, it's just a different inversion. Okay, it's just that the C is on the bottom. We took F, FAC, invert the F up an octave, and now we have ACF. Pick up the A with the finger and play the A on top instead. We get CFA, the F major chord in second inversion. So from C, root position, major chord CEG, we go to CFA. We keep a common tone, C. So voicings from one chord to the next must be efficient. Efficient movement from one chord to the next. So the most efficient way to move from C to F is not to jump from root position to root position, but to keep the C and just move the E to F and move the G up to A. Okay? So C chord to F chord and back. You don't have to go very far. Okay? Also, we're just using the major chords. Well, what's the other major chord in our pattern? The fifth, the chord built on G. So we have 1 to 4, or in closer voicing, and we go to G. And back to C. We've only used the major chords in that pattern of major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, major. The last one, C major, is a repeat of 1. So our distinct major chords are C, F, and G. Rock and roll. Rock and roll, as you know, all you need to learn is 3 chords and go out on stage and just play them 3 chords. Well, maybe you can learn to play them in a few different keys. That would help. All you need to know is 3 chords. I don't know what you're teaching me all this cycle of fifths and music theory and discovery of sharps. Just give me those 3 chords and let me write some songs. Give me some lyrics and off I go. Well, you may be right. I may be crazy, but it just may be a lunatic you're looking for. Billy Joel. So, we're committed to learning more about the structure of these chords and being able to play that pattern of C, F, G, C in any key, and to be able to compose using more advanced concepts of music, understanding the structures. So, just to review, the 3 major chords that emerge from playing 3-note chords on every note of the major scale yield a major chord on 1, 4, and 5. 1, 4, 5, 1. Many children's songs would also have those chords. Or rock and roll. added a few different concepts there, like a third in the bass. Third in the bass would be our C major chord, but we're in first inversion by putting the E in the bass. It's still a C major chord, it's still C, E, G. Okay, so by changing the notes and adding a different bass note within the chord, you get a much more beautiful and interesting harmonic variation, especially if you're staying on the chord for a while. It also creates movement. So C, E moves to F. It is logical and it forces the logic. It says it would definitely go in there. Even if you add that seventh, makes you really want to go to F. So, I think we've done a good job in this segment, and maybe in the next section we will talk about the dominant, the function of the dominant-to-tonic relationships. Basically, that's the G chord and the C chord and their relationships. So let's do that in session number 4, and congratulations on establishing this more advanced concept of music for yourselves. And once you get through this and practice this on the piano and start creating with it, you could start building these concepts. For instance, that close voicing from C to F on any chord. Let's say it's G. G major chord, G, B, D. Just lift up those top 2 notes to C and E, that 6/4 voicing. Well, it was a lot of fun for me teaching you as well. So this is the end of session number 3, and we're going to now move into more powerful harmony concepts in session number 4. See you soon.